Welcome, everyone. Today we will explore how Universal Design for Learning, UDL, can transform our approach to early childhood education. Our goal is to create inclusive and effective curricula that cater to the diverse needs of all learners, including those from different cultural backgrounds and with varying abilities. I'll be sharing insights from my own experiences as well as my research and readings from the course. Hello, my name is Zulai Irvin, and I have been in the field of early childhood education since 2007. As a native New Yorker and now an educator in the South Florida region, I have had the good fortune to be exposed to various cultures, languages, and people. I believe that my experiences have laid the groundwork to allow me to effectively implement UDL practices in my classroom. And it is those experiences that push me to seek ways to continuously develop my understanding and implementation of the UDL framework. What is Universal Design for Learning, or UDL? UDL is a framework for designing educational environments that enable all learners to gain knowledge, skills, and enthusiasm for learning. So let's dive into what that really means. The framework that aims to create educational environments where all learners can gain knowledge, skills, and enthusiasm for learning is rooted in the idea that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to education, and that teaching methods should be flexible to accommodate the diverse needs of students. At the heart of UDL are three core principles: providing multiple means of engagement, representation, and expression. Engagement refers to the why of learning, focusing on what motivates students to keep them interested. Representation deals with the what of learning, ensuring that information is presented in various ways to make it accessible to all students. Finally, we have action and expression, which concern the how of learning, offering different ways for students to demonstrate their understanding and knowledge. Think about your own classroom. How do you currently engage your students? Are there ways you could present information differently to reach more learners? How do you allow students to express what they've learned? These are the questions we will explore further as we dive into the specifics of UDL. Now that we've discussed the groundwork, let's talk about the main core principles. First, we'll start with providing multiple means of engagement. This principle focuses on the why of learning, which is all about motivation and enthusiasm. Engagement is crucial because it drives students' willingness to participate and preserve their learning activities. Students are motivated by different factors. Some may be driven by personal interests, others by social interactions, and some by the challenge of a new task. By offering multiple ways to engage with students, we can tap into the diverse motivators and create more inclusive and stimulating learning environments. For example, consider giving students choices on how they explore a topic. If you're studying ecosystems, you could allow students to choose which type of ecosystem they would want to look at. Do they want to learn about the forest, a desert, an ocean, etc.? This choice empowers students and aligns to the learning activity with their interests, increasing their engagement. Another effective strategy is incorporating gamification. Gamifying learning. Turning lessons into games or incorporating game-like elements, such as earning points or badges or completing tasks, can make learning even more interactive and fun. This approach can be particularly motivating for students who enjoy competition and rewards. Incorporating students' interests into the curriculum is also a powerful way to engage them. If you have a student who loves dinosaurs, you might incorporate dinosaur-related materials into reading assignments or science projects or even math. This personalization shows students that their interests are valued and can make the learning experience more relevant and enjoyable for them. By giving them these options, I notice an increase in their enthusiasm and depth of understanding. Additionally, creating a classroom environment that encourages collaboration can significantly boost engagement. Group projects, peer reviews, and class discussions provide social interaction, which can be highly motivating for many students. By providing multiple means of engagement, we can cater to a wide range of interests and motivational factors, making learning more appealing and effective, creating active learners instead of passive learners. This principle helps us create a classroom atmosphere where every student feels excited to learn and participate. Moving on to the second principle of UDL is providing multiple means of representation. This principle addresses the what of learning. It emphasizes the importance of presenting information in ways to cater to the diverse needs of students. Representation is crucial because not all students learn the same way. Some may be visual learners, others auditory, and some might need hands-on experience to grasp concepts fully. By varying our teaching methods, we can ensure that every student has the opportunity to understand the material. For example, let's say we're working on a lesson about the water cycle. We could start with a visual aid, like a diagram showing the stages of the water cycle. This would help visual learners by giving them a picture clearly of the process. Next, you could play an audio recording or read a story about the journey of the water droplet, which could appeal to auditory learners. Finally, we could conduct a hands-on experiment where students create their own mini water cycle using plastic bags, water, and a heat source, like taping it to the window. This tactile experience helps kinesthetics learners by allowing them to physically engage with the concept. By using multiple means of representation, we help students build a more comprehensive understanding of the subject matter. It also allows us to reach students who might struggle with traditional methods of instruction. For instance, an English language learner might benefit greatly from the use of visual aids and hands-on activities, which could provide the context and reinforce learning without relying solely on verbal explanations. Incorporating various forms of media like videos, infographics, and interactive simulations can also enrich the learning experience. These tools make abstract concepts more concrete and accessible. Next, we'll dive into the third principle of UDL, providing multiple means of action and expression, which focuses on the how of learning. Now let's discuss the third principle of UDL, providing multiple means of action and expression. This principle focuses on the how of learning, which is all about how students can demonstrate their knowledge and skills. In a preschool setting, we know that children have diverse ways of expressing themselves. Some might be more verbal, while others might prefer to use art, movement, or play to communicate their understanding. By offering various options for action and expression, we allow each child to use their strengths and preferences to show what they've learned. So, for example, if you're teaching a unit on animals, you could give children several ways to express their learning. Some might choose to draw their favorite animal and talk about it. Others might prefer to act out the animal's movements and sounds in a role-playing activity. Some might want to create a simple story or puppet show about the animal. Others may choose to create a zoo at the block area. Each of these methods allows children to demonstrate their knowledge in a way that feels natural and engaging to them. This approach is especially beneficial for children with different abilities and backgrounds. For instance, a child who is still developing language skills might find it easier to draw or to act like their animal. This shows their understanding. Similarly, a child with a physical disability might prefer to use technology like a tablet or to create a digital story. By providing these varied options, we make it possible for all children to participate fully and feel successful. In practice, this might mean setting up different stations in your classroom, each with materials for a different type of activity. One station could have art supplies, another could have props for role-playing, and another could have tablets or computers for digital projects. Encouraging children to choose the station that best suits them helps foster independence and self-control. By embracing multiple means of action and expression, we validate each child's unique way of learning and communicating. This not only enhances their learning experience, but also helps them to develop a sense of agency and ownership in their education. When working with diverse populations, some challenges may arise. causing gaps between cultures. So let's dive a bit into the topic of bridging those cultural differences in the preschool classroom. As preschool teachers, we have a unique opportunity and responsibility to create an environment where all children feel seen, respected, and valued, regardless of their cultural background. In our diverse classrooms, cultural differences can influence everything from communication styles to behavior expectations. Recognizing and understanding these differences is the first step in building a more inclusive learning environment. For example, in some cultures, children may be encouraged to be more independent, while in others, collaboration and group activities are highly valued. As educators, it is essential to be aware of these nuances and adapt our teaching strategies accordingly. One effective approach is to actively learn about the cultural backgrounds of your students. This could involve simple steps like engaging in conversation with parents, asking about their traditions and values, and incorporating cultural references into your classroom and lesson plans. For instance, during story time, you might include books that reflect the diverse cultures in your classroom, or you could celebrate various cultural holidays and encourage families to share their customs and traditions with the class. Another important aspect is to create a classroom environment that reflects the cultural diversity of your students. This could mean displaying artwork, posters, and learning materials that showcase different cultures. Additionally, using labels and instructions in multiple languages can help children feel more comfortable and included. Let's consider a practical example. Imagine you have a student from a Caribbean background who is used to more interactive and expressive communication. If you notice this child is more vocal or energetic, instead of viewing this as a behavioral issue, you can channel that energy into group discussions or hands-on activities. This approach not only acknowledges their cultural background, but also leverages it to enhance their learning experience. Building bridges across cultural differences can also involve fostering an open and respectful classroom dialogue about diversity. Encouraging children to share their experiences and to learn from each other. This not only helps in building a sense of community, but also teaches children the value of diversity and inclusion from a young age. By actively embracing and celebrating the cultural differences in our classrooms, we can create a more inclusive and enriching learning environment. This not only benefits the children, but also enriches our own teaching practices. So let's now discuss some of the practical strategies for implementing universal design for learning in your classroom. So we're going to focus on actionable steps you can take to bring UDL principles to life, ensuring that your teaching practices are inclusive and supportive of all students. So let's talk about using technology. Technology can be a powerful tool for providing multiple means of representation. For example, you can use educational software and apps that offer text-to-speech capabilities, translations, interactive simulations, and video tutorials. These tools allow students to access content in various formats, catering to different learning preferences and needs. So, for example, during a lesson on photosynthesis, you could provide an interactive diagram, a video explanation, a text description. This variety ensures that all students can engage with the material in a way that suits them best. Next, we can consider offering varied assessment methods. So traditional tests may not accurately reflect every student's understanding and abilities. So by incorporating diverse assessment strategies such as portfolios, project-based assessments, oral presentations, and informal observations, you could give students multiple ways to demonstrate their knowledge. In my traditional preschool setting, students are assessed on their letter recognition and letter knowledge through a traditional test where they are given a letter and the teachers are to mark off which letters they know and which they don't know. Sometimes this method is not effective in actually showing and demonstrating the student's letter knowledge. I might have students who have language delays and they're not able to physically tell me that's the letter A, that's the letter B. So we can play different games where I can show them letters or various letters and ask them to pick up the letter. Can you find and show me? Can you grab the letter A? And in that way, they're able to demonstrate their knowledge. By providing alternatives, we can reveal different strengths and provide a more comprehensive picture of student learning. Creating a classroom environment that supports diverse learning preferences is also crucial. Think about the physical arrangement of your classroom. Are there spaces for both quiet, individual work and collaborative group activities? Can students choose where to sit based on their comfort and learning style? Are there flexible seating options, such as beanbags, standing desk, or floor cushions that can help create a more inclusive environment? Additionally, consider how you display information and materials in your classroom. Using visual aids such as charts and posters alongside written instructions can cater to visual learners. Another strategy is to incorporate student choice into your lessons. Allowing students to have a say in what they are learning and how they learn can significantly boost the engagement and motivation. In my own teaching practice, I found that incorporating these type of strategies has made a significant difference. For example, if I'm teaching a science unit, I can use a combination of hands-on experiments, digital simulations, art projects, music and movement, and interactive stories. This approach not only increases student engagement but also improves their understanding of the concepts. Lastly, let us not forget the importance of ongoing reflection and adjustment. Regularly assess the effectiveness of your UDL strategies and be open to making changes based on the student feedback and outcomes. Your lessons, plans, and activities are living documents. You shouldn't just recycle the same activities over and over again without having an assessment period and looking at whether it worked or not and what improvements you could make. This iterative process ensures that your teaching remains responsive to the diverse needs of your students. By implementing these practical strategies, you can create a more inclusive and effective learning environment that supports all students. Remember, the goal of UDL is to provide every learner with the opportunity to succeed, and these strategies are key steps towards achieving that goal. Professional development is crucial in implementing UDL effectively in early childhood education. The UDL framework requires educators to design flexible learning environments that can accommodate the diverse needs of all students. However, without proper training and continuous professional development, teachers can struggle to apply these principles in their classrooms effectively. First, professional development provides educators with a deep understanding of UDL principles. It equips them with the knowledge and skills to create lessons that offer multiple means of engagement, representation, and action and expression. This ensures that all students, regardless of their abilities or backgrounds, have equal opportunities to learn and succeed. These are the tenets of the UDL framework. Second, ongoing professional development fosters a culture of collaboration and continuous improvement among the educators. By engaging in workshops, peer observations, and professional learning communities, teachers can share best practices, discuss challenges, and collectively find solutions to implement UDL effectively. One method that we use in my facility is to collaborate between general population teachers and our special ed ESC department teachers. We work together closely to support one another in our learning strategies and struggles. Lastly, professional development helps educators stay up to date with the latest research and strategies in inclusive education. This ensures that their teaching practices are informed by evidence-based methods, leading to improved student outcomes. Professional development is essential for equipping educators with the tools and knowledge needed to successfully implement UDL, ultimately creating a more inclusive and effective learning environment for all students. The education institutions listed here are just a few that offer professional development courses and workshops specifically for universal design for learning. If you want any more information on that, I can provide it after the training. You may be asking, why UDL in early childhood education? Let's explore the critical importance of implementing UDL in early childhood settings. UDL is a powerful approach that creates inclusive and accessible learning environments for all children. But why is this particularly important in early childhood education? Firstly, early childhood is the formative period for developing cognitive, social, and emotional skills. By incorporating UDL, we ensure that all children, regardless of their abilities or backgrounds, have equitable access to learning opportunities right from the start. This early intervention is crucial for setting a strong foundation for lifelong learning and success. Secondly, young children come with diverse needs and ways of learning. UDL helps us recognize and accommodate these differences by providing multiple means of representation, engagement, and expression. For example, some children may learn better through visual aids, while others might benefit more from hands-on activities or auditory instructions. UDL allows us to meet each child where they are and support their unique learning journey. Moreover, early childhood education is not just about academic learning. It's also about fostering social-emotional development. UDL emphasizes creating flexible and supportive environments that provide engagement and participation from all students. This inclusive atmosphere helps children feel valued and understood, which is essential for their self-esteem and motivation. Finally, UDL in early childhood education prepares us to address and reduce potential learning barriers before they become significant challenges. By proactively designing our curricula and teaching methods to be accessible, we can prevent many of these issues that lead to educational inequities. So, integrating UDL into early childhood education is about equity, inclusivity, and creating optimal learning experiences for all children. It's about giving every child the chance to succeed and thrive, regardless of their starting point. Now that we understand what UDL is, why we need it in early childhood education, let's discuss the connections between UDL, equity, and inclusion. Firstly, UDL is inherently about providing equitable access to education. By offering multiple means of engagement, representation, and action expression, UDL ensures that we meet the diverse needs of all learners. This approach aligns perfectly with the principles of equity, which focus on giving each student the specific supports they need to succeed, rather than assuming a one-size-fits-all model. For instance, in my experience as a Head Start teacher, I had students from various linguistic and cultural backgrounds. By applying UDL principles, I was able to create an inclusive classroom environment that respected and addressed their unique needs. This meant I had to use visual aids, incorporating basic home languages in Russian and Spanish phrases, and designing activities that were culturally relevant and engaging. Such practices not only improved their learning outcomes, but also made them feel valued and included. UDL also promotes inclusion by ensuring that all students, regardless of their abilities or backgrounds, can participate meaningfully in the learning process. When we design our curricula and teaching strategies with UDL, we proactively remove barriers to learning and participation. This approach is crucial for students who may have disabilities, language barriers, or other challenges that could impede their educational success. UDL provides appropriate accommodations, supports, and challenges while maintaining high expectations for all students. This creates a more inclusive and educational setting where every child can reach their full potential. Integrating UDL in our teaching practices is not only about improving educational outcomes, it's about fostering an equitable and inclusive learning environment. By embracing UDL, we ensure that all students feel respected, included, and capable of success. These are the very tenets of equity and inclusion. Today, I'd like to share a personal experience from my own classroom that highlights the power of UDL in fostering inclusive and supportive learning environments. In my Head Start general education classroom for 4-year-olds, This past year, I had 2 Russian children who spoke zero English. The first quarter, or the beginning of the first quarter, was pretty challenging. They were often disruptive, had tantrums, and seemed to just be on their own agenda. Understanding their behavior required me to look beyond language barriers and consider cultural differences. From my previous experiences working in Russian school and my continued connections within the Russian community, I knew that many Russian born children don't attend school until they are 6 or 7 years old, and they often don't have experience with structured educational environments like preschool. My first step was to build a relationship with these children. I do speak some Russian, but I took the initiative to learn more words and phrases related to their interests. This effort helped bridge the language gap and made them feel more comfortable. I also created visual aids to accompany lessons, activities, and classroom rules, ensuring that they could follow along despite the language barrier. In the beginning, these children only played with one another. But as their confidence and language skills grew, they began seeking out more friendships and became integral parts of our class family. They started engaging more lessons, participating actively, and showing enthusiasm in their learning. I was impressed. Their progress was remarkable. The parents, the administrators, and other teachers also took note. These students were so enthusiastic. They began demonstrating their knowledge through role playing, interactive play, and drawings. I was incredibly proud to see my most disruptive students transform into active, engaged learners. Building strong relationships with the parents was also key. Navigating this American school system can be daunting for foreign families, but through consistent communication and support, the parents expressed immense gratitude. Working in diverse populations for over a decade, one of the biggest factors to my success is the relationships that I built within my families, within my classroom, and within the community. This is a core principle of UDL. Thank you all for joining me today and for your attentive participation throughout this training. We've covered a range of essential topics, from understanding the core principles of UDL to implementing culturally responsive teaching practices in our preschool classrooms. Our journey began with the fundamental ideas behind UDL, emphasizing the need to provide multiple means of engagement, representation, and expression to cater to the diverse needs of our students. We then explored how to practically apply these principles in our daily teaching, ensuring that all children, regardless of their abilities or backgrounds, have equal opportunities to succeed and thrive. We also discussed the importance of understanding and embracing cultural diversity. By actively learning about our students' cultural backgrounds and integrating this knowledge into our teaching practices, we can create a more inclusive and supportive learning environment. This approach not only enhances the educational experience for our students, but also fosters a sense of belonging and respect within the classroom. As we move forward, I encourage each of you to reflect on what you've learned today and consider how you can implement these strategies in your own teaching practice. Remember, the goal is to create a classroom where every child feels seen, valued, and empowered to reach their full potential. Now I'd like to open the floor for any questions or comments you might have, whether it's about the UDL framework, cultural inclusivity, or specific challenges you're facing in your classroom. I'm here to help. Your insights and questions are invaluable, so let's feel free to share.